All right, guys, so we have some breaking news here, some big breaking news. The one sanction, or one of very few sanctions that the U.S. hadn't put on Russia yet, was a ban of Russian oil, liquid natural gas, and coal. And it looks like they're now going to do that as well. So, I mean, I honestly don't know what, if there are any sanctions left to put on the Russian economy. Maybe there's still some loopholes in the SWIFT banking sanctions, so there are some that are off the table, but after a tremendous pressure campaign, it appears like the White House has folded, and they're now going to act on this. So you see here on CNBC, EU pledges to cut Russian gas imports by 2/3 before the end of the year. I'll have more on that in a second. U.S. expected to announce ban on Russian oil as soon as today. The U.S. is expected to announce as early as Tuesday that it will ban imports of Russian oil, a move that would cut about 8% of America's annual supply. So for us, that's relatively small. For Europe, it would be huge. They take way more than 8% of their natural gas comes from Russia. So for us, it's 8%. For them, it'd be much, much more. The news of the upcoming announcement, confirmed to CNBC by a person familiar with the matter, sent oil markets soaring. Crude oil jumped 4.5% to session highs of above $124 a barrel following reports of the forthcoming ban. Brent crude oil, the international benchmark, jumped nearly 5% to nearly $129 a barrel. The move is set to come as the international community works to heap as much economic punishment as possible on Russia in retaliation against its invasion of Ukraine. There was no indication on Tuesday morning that other nations would join the U.S. in banning Russian oil imports. Again, we'll talk more about that in a second. That has since changed. The White House and the Department of Energy did not immediately respond to requests for comment, but the White House updated President Joe Biden's daily schedule Tuesday morning to include an announcement of new U.S. actions intended to hold Russia accountable for its unprovoked and unjustified war on Ukraine. Biden will deliver those remarks very soon, in about 20 minutes or so. The U.S. imported about 672,000 barrels a day from Russia in 2021, according to figures from the Energy Information Administration. That amount comprises roughly 8% of the total U.S. import of oil and refined products. Most of the country's crude oil and petroleum imports come from Canada, Mexico, and Saudi Arabia, making the U.S. far less dependent on Russian oil than many of its European counterparts. And also, guys, I should say, I think we're the number one producer of oil and natural gas, but we export most of it. And this is one of the things that's, an issue. We don't have a nationalized energy industry, an oil industry, a liquid natural gas industry. So even though it comes out of the people's ground, it is not the people's. So since it's privatized, you have all these companies that sell our stuff overseas, and we import a lot of our stuff, and we're, reliant on, for example, Saudi Arabia. So, the way the system works is too complicated and sort of wildly unnecessary. Now, it would be really hard to untangle that and basically, we consume the stuff that we produce. But there's definitely an argument for that sort of self-sufficiency, if you ask me. Shell to stop buying Russian oil and gas purchases, apologizes for buying shipment after Ukraine invasion. So Shell's going to stop this now. A bunch of U.S. companies are going to stop this now. And, it's an open question as to whether or not they were basically forced to do this by the government, or they're doing it free of their own volition. I tend to think they were probably forced to do it because corporations just care about the bottom line, and they probably would have kept doing it no matter what Russia was doing. NPR says the national average for a gallon of gas is now a record $4.17, the highest ever recorded, not accounting for inflation. The Independent says, breaking, EU to end all imports of Russian oil and gas before 2030 following Ukraine invasion. So, yeah, this gets to what I was talking about before. I don't think they're in a position where they could just ban it all right now because they're so reliant on it. What do we say in Germany? It's like 50 or 60% of their imports are from Russia. So they need to set up an alternative way of getting the energy, either getting liquid natural gas elsewhere or transitioning back to nuclear and even going maybe fully nuclear. I don't know what's going to happen here, man. I have a feeling that since they're taking this action, Russia's going to turn around and say, well, what if we shut off all the gas that goes to you right now? And then they probably be like, no, don't do that. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, Russia's going to be very reliant on China and India now to sort of pick up the slack. And but their economy is absolutely imploding. And I have to say, you guys know this, but the sanctions have gone too far. You're hurting regular, innocent Russian civilians and citizens, and I don't support that. It's not fair to them. They didn't do this. It was Vladimir Putin who did this. And, collective punishment is not something that's fair. When the U.S. invaded Iraq illegally, I wouldn't have liked it if the entire U.S. economy imploded and, my family and your family was impacted by it because of the actions of George W. Bush. I think that, the U.S. leaders should have been sanctioned. George W. Bush, Dick Cheney, Condoleezza Rice, Donald Rumsfeld. The U.S. government should have been sanctioned, but I don't think it should have hurt regular Americans. And I feel the same way about what's going on in Russia right now. New poll, 7 in 10 Americans polled support ban on Russian oil even if higher prices result. That is amazing. That is incredible. But look, the elephant in the room here is it's time to transition off of fossil fuels anyway. If there was ever a time to go to renewable technology and green technology, it's right now. Because clearly this global system that we've crafted is not working too well at the moment. And everything's fragile, everything's on thin ice, and wouldn't it be great if we had reliable, renewable, green energy and technology, and that could be the future? And remember, there's inevitable patents on this front just waiting for people, and I would love it if the U.S. got those patents. So, super important, but unfortunately we're not going down that road. Now, I'll have more on this for you guys tomorrow in terms of the other deals that the U.S. is currently working on to sort of make up the difference. But remember, for us, Russian energy is 8% of the market, which is manageable for us to cut off. For Europe, it's a very, very different situation. And, my guess is Russia's going to have to now rely on China and India even more. I don't know if they saw this coming, but it's coming. I think there was a massive pressure campaign that the White House effectively folded to. I don't know if this is a good idea because, again, totally imploding the Russian economy and hurting average innocent Russians seems like massive overkill. And nobody's been harder on Russia's invasion of Ukraine than me. I think it's an aggressive action, it's an imperialist action, but we don't do collective punishment in response to that. So anyway, there you go. This is the big breaking news that I wanted to share with you guys. U.S. to ban not just Russian oil, but they're talking about coal and liquid natural gas. And gas prices are already a record high. They're probably going to go up even more. And again, I think the bigger thing to be concerned about, not even the energy prices, the gas prices, the bigger thing to be concerned about is with the massive overreach from the West with these sanctions, basically imploding the entire Russian economy, what do they do in return? We act like they're incapable of responding and they'll never retaliate, but they will, and they can. And I don't know if cyber attacks are coming against the U.S. I just don't know. I don't know what the hell is going to happen moving forward. But this is some pretty big breaking news. It was one of very few sanctions that they hadn't levied on Russia yet, and now they're levying them. So, again, it'll be wild to see how this unfolds. For the love of God, though, do not do a no-fly zone, because there's a tremendous amount of pressure on the no-fly zone as well. And we'll see if Biden folds on that. I highly doubt he will, because if he does, that literally just means flat-out World War III. We're already flirting with World War III, but that would be just diving into the deep end of the pool of World War III. So we shall see. But anyway, here's your big breaking news that just came out.